I'm right now calling from the annual academic week of the Southeast Europe Association in Tutsi in Bavaria. This year with the topic of the lessons from the Yugoslav wars. And I hope it will not take 30 years when the war in Bosnia finished, the open war in Bosnia finished, to have a conference on the lessons learned from the war in Ukraine. My main focus, although I fully support that culture is extremely important and the preservation of the cultural heritage in Ukraine, because they have not only the problem that a lot of cultural heritage is destroyed by concrete acts of war, but that they also, of course, lack now funds for continuing cultural activities, although some of these activities have to take now abroad. Quite a lot is taking place in Austria, the country where I actually live. And we have artists of Ukraine which are supported by the Institute for the Science of Man, it's Institut für die Wissenschaften von Menschen, and similar activities take place in various places in Austria and also and even more in Germany. Conferences, exhibitions, concerts, and I hope that this will also continue in the future. But I may raise also one additional issue, Javi Derala, that I'm particularly interested in that, and that is also affected by the war in Ukraine. That is nature and environment. I'm a nature protection activist and see with great worry what the war is doing to Ukraine. And also there, a lot of support is needed. And the other organization I'm active in, besides the Southeast Europe Association, is Foundation Euronature, which is also active in Ukraine wherever it is possible to protect the unique nature in various parts of the country. Unfortunately, the areas which are occupied by Russia and annexed by Russia actually are practically not available or cannot be reached. Nevertheless, I think our support should be in all these fields. And in Vienna, I'm part of a chat group. It's called Ukraine in NATO, but it is a broad exchange of Ukrainians living in Vienna and activists, Austrian activists, who also collect money for very concrete projects to support Ukraine in the field of culture, education. We had in the Maurer Center in the very center of the city of Vienna, a wonderful exhibition with children paintings and drawings by an Ukrainian woman who is working with children in exile in Austria, but she returns regularly to Ukraine to work with these children. Painting can help to overcome the traumas of the war, or at least tackle them and live with them. And I think also these activities are very important. But for me, it is also very crucial to raise once again the issue Dr. Ressmann talked about, disinformation. I'm also in a group of activists in Austria and Germany who are fighting Russian disinformation as a very important part of the hybrid war. And today, the long-term correspondent of the German press agency in Belgrade, Dr. Thomas Brey, held a lecture in the Foreign Ministry in Berlin about disinformation, Russian disinformation, to be concrete, in the Balkans. It is worst, of course, in Belgrade, as you can imagine, in Serbia, but it is also taking place in all other parts of the Balkans. And I think also there German institutions, organizations should support your countries and your journalists and media in fighting this disinformation, which in my view, this hybrid war is extremely dangerous, as was said before, and we have to do everything possible to fight it and to explain to the ordinary people as far as you can reach them under the present circumstances. In many Balkan countries, media are not really free, and journalists cannot always reach out to all of the public. But as far as it's possible, we have to inform and to explain and to disclose all these actions of disinformation. People do not, many ordinary people do not really understand what is going on. We are all activists and of course know about it, but we have to reach out to people who are anyhow confused because of all the conflicts and problems going on. And I see also what is going on now with the Gaza war, which has a huge impact, at least in Germany, a little bit less in Austria, but in many countries as well, as part of the general confusion and this information of a broader public. People cannot distinguish between the conflict which is going on in Ukraine, and I can say that I had a good example of that because the day before yesterday, before coming here to that conference, I met a German journalist, and it was obviously not possible to explain not only, although it is absolutely terrible what's going on in the Middle East, the conflict in Gaza is not the only one which is going on right now. And that in Ukraine, the effects of the war are very similar to that in Gaza, perhaps not at such a very relatively small place. Ukraine is huge, but still, Russian drones are affecting towns in the very west of Ukraine, are very close to the border. People are killed, buildings are destroyed, cultural heritage is destroyed. And I think this is very important to discuss this with the broader public, that so that the war in the Ukraine is always present, and people in our countries, which are democratic, continue to fight for this democracy, for the media freedom, because it is practically destroyed in many parts of the world. The most worrisome situation, in my view, is now in the US, and I hope you will also raise what it means, the changes in the United States will mean for our fight for Ukraine against the war by Russia.